What is up, everybody, and welcome to the official listening party for Mushroom Blues, the soundtrack, an incredible 8-track soundscape that will be releasing alongside my debut novel of the same name. I'm Adrian M. Gibson, the author of Mushroom Blues, but joining me today to talk about and share some insights into the music-making process are Felix and Victor, aka the production duo Sporer, the incredibly talented minds behind this album and founders of the Fruiting Bodies record label. How you guys doing?
Hey, man.
Hey.
Doing good.
Yeah, we're doing good. Thank you for the introduction. So very nice.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to have you guys here. But first, I'll let you introduce yourselves a little bit more so that folks can get to know you a bit better. We'll start with you, Victor.
Yeah, sure. So I was invited by Felix to this project, and it feels really good. And I mean, me and Felix are old buddies from school, and we both met studying sound design. I'm working as a sound designer now for a game company. And this project has kind of brought us back together to start this duo again and this project and the label. So that's very nice. But yeah, I'm living in Stockholm with my cat and my girlfriend. And otherwise, I'm just happy to make some beautiful electronic music. That's what I love to do. So.
Yeah, because you guys had a record label together during university.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I think that was also maybe a spawn of Felix. Yeah, and that was also, I think, the reason behind that was to bring us all together that made music during our school time together, and release tracks that our friends made and stuff like that. So it feels good to kind of get that ball rolling again and start up this new project, which I'm really excited about. And I think, the entire Fruiting Bodies thing has evolved from, meeting you, Adrian, and Mushroom Blues. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, man. Felix, what about you?
Yeah, I feel like you covered a lot of the reasons for sitting here, Victor. But yeah, I mean, so I'm also, I suppose, a sound designer by heart. Huge music fan generally. I mean, what I do on a day-to-day basis is UX design, which is a bit of a different field, but like Victor said, we met when we were in school together, and we were exploring different fields of sound design, and naturally that kind of led us to start exploring music as well. And so I feel like we've been going through quite a lot of different sounds over the years, and I'm happy that this is where it's led in a way. To us being able to do this project, it's been really good. It's been except for the music that I feel like we're both quite happy with. It's also been a really nice opportunity for us to basically just hang out, and that doesn't happen very often these days when you work full-time jobs and that sort of thing. It's hard to make it to make the time stretch
and
that way.
Even living in the same city,
Yeah, true.
Let alone
true.
like Felix and I, you and I met in Berlin. Oh, like coming up on 10 years ago, almost.
Yeah, I was just realizing that the other day. Holy shit!
But it was awesome because we bonded over a lot of like mutual loves, and music being one of them. And obviously, like the club scene in Berlin is world renowned, and even then, like you and I, when we ended up living in different places, like you ended up going to Vancouver and I ended up coming to Ecuador, but we were still able to keep in touch and talk virtually, and also like collaborate on things. Like we did some awesome parties where I would do live tattooing and you would DJ, and that just made me so happy to be able to collaborate with someone who's so dear to me. And that's kind of why I asked you in the first place to to do this, because I knew your background and everything like that, but I also had like the trust and confidence to collaborate with you on something like this. And I'm really happy that you brought Victor into the project as well, because, you know, one of the first things you sent me was just a photo of his notebook that just said like mycelium concept, kind of like mycelium world concept album, which is like, what kind of fucking serendipity is that? It's ridiculous, you know? So yeah, I just, I love that we're able to do this project together. But I want to give folks a first taste of it. And so we're going to play 4 songs from the album today. And the first is going to be the album opener, Fragmented Memories. And we'll let that roll now. All right, we're back, and that was Fragmented Memories, the opener for the Mushroom Blues soundtrack. Felix and Victor, I want to ask you a bit about what went into that song, but also how you two approached the recording process as a whole. Felix, do you want to start?
Sure. Yes, I mean, like I said earlier, or like we said earlier, just getting together, I think, was honestly like a big component of making this album. Because we've been talking for a long time about, doing something together again, making some music, getting together, and especially since Victor moved from Malmö up to Stockholm, where I live as well, we felt like this could be a good opportunity to do so. And so then when you approached me about the project, like naturally I was thinking of Victor. I was like, this is a perfect opportunity to do it. And so I think if I remember correct, Victor, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what you said to let's meet up and just jam, bring whatever you want, kind of come to my place. That is Victor's place, and then we'll just set it up and see what happens, kind of.
Yeah.
So that, exactly. I guess that was the start of it, to just sort of get back on track with each other. And
yeah,
didn't you guys call the sessions Svampjam? So it's like svamp is the Swedish word for mushroom, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's just like mushroom jams. That's what it's all.
Yeah,
and I mean, I think it's been great because mainly Felix maybe has brought me into the interest of mushrooms, but I know that Felix and his girlfriend, they go out in the forest a lot, and especially during the fall when we met and started up this project, we started discussing like picking mushrooms in the forests and like showing each other pictures of what kind of mushrooms we found in the forest. So I think that it was really like an umbrella for us to go into this project, and we had this like-minded vibe. So I think that's kind of how it started. I think you, Adrian, sent us like the first chapter of the book, and we both read it, and before the first jam, and then we just said like, okay, let's just we haven't made music together for 3 or 4 years, so let's just bring some beers and think about the book, and let's make music and see what happens. And that basically came out to be the start and the jams. And so I think that's probably the first jam was Fragmented Memories, I think. Came out from that. And
yeah, because the first, you guys sent me like a 13-minute clip from that first jam session, and within that 13 minutes there was like, I think like 6 or 7 different songs. Obviously some of them were a bit longer than others, but from everything that I heard there, that was just such an invigorating kind of experience for me to hear like the beginnings of what I knew were really, really fitting and really awesome songs, and just kind of like going through that and being like, this one sounds perfect, like this sounds awesome, and to kind of like witness that evolution was just amazing.
Yeah, you really got a bunch of different samples, like a whole nuance of different styles and sounds. That was very like,
some of them were like pretty heavy, like techno and stuff like that. But that's actually perfect, because we're hopefully going to be like collaborating on future projects, and there are other books within the Fungalverse that are more sort of geared towards that like techno vibe and sort of like club tracks and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a glimpse into the future of Mushroom Blues soundtrack, but also a glimpse into like the future of Fungalverse soundtracks in general, and just kind of like the sonic landscape that you guys were kind of laying the foundations for this universe. It was really cool. All right, well, we'll give everyone a taste of the second track, and next up is Reawaken Part 2, which will start right now. And we're back. That was Reawaken Part 2. Fantastic song that you guys created. And I think it's pretty unreal how you two were able to so thoroughly capture the mood and feel of the Mushroom Blues world and like the fungal verse in general. So I wanted to ask you about what kinds of sounds and instruments you were utilizing to achieve this.
I think first of all, the Victor really killed it with the flute. It was I wasn't ready for you pulling that out, you know. But we did. It was great. I mean, I'm
I mean, I actually got this. So this is the flute. It's like flute. A bansuri flute, I think it's called, Indian bamboo flute. And I actually got it from my girlfriend, like just a couple of months before the jam session. So I'm pretty like a beginner at the flute, but yeah, it's so much fun. So I think it was just a great opportunity to try it out in a live setting and record it a bit.
I think it just had such a raw quality to it, the way you played it, you know.
Yeah, I think it worked in the context of it being. We talked about this, like the reawakening, and Adrian talked about this like being a concept throughout the entire book, and the song came out to be some sort of like shamanistic ritual almost. You know, it's very raw and it's very, you know, it's not perfectly in time, but you can hear that it's just, you know, yeah, it's feels very organic in a way, and it feels like we're just having a lot of fun with it, and I think that's something really nicely.
That's something that you guys really pulled off throughout the whole album, is just this feel of kind of like the synthetic and the organic mixing together. And it's been really cool to watch Felix, like your journey during school, where you were actually doing a lot of experiments where you're using analog technology and combining it with plants to use their chemical signals as a sort of initiating sort of note in the analog music. Is like the chemical signals being used as like a natural synthesizer.
Yeah, you could trigger it, which is really as a trigger, and then essentially turn plants into instruments. It triggers different signals, and then you could have it play whatever you wanted, kind of.
Yeah, but the way that you guys were able to achieve like the sound of this world was just so cool, because like you're saying, Victor, it's like there is the organic elements to it, but then there's also kind of like the more sort of like synthesized sci-fi sounding instrumentation. And I wanted to ask, like, what were some other instruments that you were using, or what was like some of the equipment that you were using to record?
I mean, I think both me and Felix, we are electronic music producers foremost. So I make a lot of, you know, music within Ableton, but for this project, I think we used mainly synthesizers, hardware synthesizers, and drum machines. So this, for example, little guy, this is like a clone of a really old school 80s drum machine, like super bare bones, have minimal control, but just super raw, nice sounding.
Fantastic for jamming on. You just get into this flow, and then everything just eventually starts sounding good. It's very forgiving in that sense.
Eventually, we just hooked up all our gear that we had. You know, Felix brought his drum machine, and I have a couple of synths and drum machines in my studio. Hooked them up, so they're all in sync. And then I think that's been our process all the way, and maybe going back to uni as well when we had our jams. That was like just hooking it up, syncing it. It's all in time and in tempo, and then we kind of don't talk to each other. We just like make music and communicate through the music. And then you get these like 1 hour, 2 hour jam sessions where you know have to go through and find the good bits, because there's a lot of like finding the right sounds as well, like where it's just chaos and it sounds like a circus for 15 minutes until you find that flow again.
That flow. Yeah. But I love that idea of like communicating through the music and not even having to like directly speak to one another.
Yeah.
It's just speaks to the magic of language and the abilities for humans to kind of transcend just what we conceive of as like language in terms of words that are spoken through the mouth, but it's like it goes so far beyond that.
Yeah.
And I love the way that you guys are able to kind of like collaborate together in that sense. And like at that point you were like adding in layers of like drums and stuff on top, because you have what was the name of that drum that you used as well?
This one, or the
not the drum machine, but like the physical drum.
Oh yeah, that is called a tongue drum. So it's like a round metal drum, which has cutouts. So it's basically tuned to a scale. So it does sound nice, like every note you play. It's very cool.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. I love that process. And as I've been chatting to people about the book, and they've been asking about the album, because I sent out the album to people that I was doing interviews with, and friends who are helping out with the book, and telling them like how important it is for me to kind of give readers more of an immersive experience. And I think soundtracks is not something that you see very often from books, but I think it's really awesome to be able to give them multiple layers of immersion, whether it's like through the actual text of the book or through the visuals that I've included in the book and through the music that you guys have created. So hopefully more authors out there are interested in doing this kind of thing, because I'd like to see it more often. But
it's also very fun. So, there's that.
Yeah. All right. Well, next up we have a track called Mood Hat, which is just all about the mood. And I love this song so much, which is going to start right now. All right, and we're back. That song was Mood Hat. I hope you liked it. But Victor kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but I wanted to ask you guys a bit more about mushrooms themselves, about your relationships with fungi and how growing up in Sweden in particular could have had an influence on that. Felix?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, mushrooms, I'm a big fan.
You and I bonded over mushrooms.
Yeah, we did.
Psychedelic mushrooms.
Oh my God. Like, how long can this be? Like, no, but I mean, growing up, like mushrooms, sure. I mean, what I did was I was picking chanterelles with my grandma. That was basically a big part of my childhood doing that. I was always looking forward to it. But then I think it was actually with you, Adrian, that I started delving further into like what is mushrooms, and like they're really fascinating in how they're so complex and that we don't really understand everything about them yet, even, and that they come in so many different shapes and forms, and it's like they're funny, and
alien.
They're
like,
alien, yeah, and
ways.
they're tasty, and they're like fucking dangerous as well. They can be so many things, and I mean, as someone who loves being outdoors, and especially with my girlfriend Ellen, I mean, we just love to be outdoors, and she's a big fan of mushrooms too, and so just being out there and like looking for them is so much fun. I think it's I mean, for some reason it just speaks to me, and like, and I get really happy when I find mushrooms. There's something very satisfying and fun about it.
Yeah, like tapping into the forager in yourself.
Yeah, and
that was sparked in you at a young age by your grandma.
Totally. Yeah, that was like, oh my God, you can eat mushrooms, they're tasty. But then there's something playful about the whole thing that I like.
Yeah, I feel like you and I came from very similar sort of environments, in the sense that like Sweden is very much like British Columbia.
Yeah, forests, like
in a lot of ways. Like the temperate rainforests, very lush, lots of mountains and rivers and lakes and bogs and all kinds of places that mushrooms just love to hang out. And yeah, they're just fucking weird and gorgeous and fascinating all at the same time. Victor, you mentioned earlier how this project and like hanging out with Felix and his girlfriend have kind of like brought you back into the mushroom fold, or kind of like opened your eyes a little bit too more. But like, what about that picture that Felix sent me from your notebook about this idea for like a mushroom sort of mycelium world for a concept album?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know exactly where it started, but I remember I started listening to an album from Harald Grosskopf, I think his name is. It's called Synesthesia or something like that. And I just remember listening into it, and I've just started reading the book as well about Entangled Life, I think.
By Merlin Sheldrake.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I think that kind of started the idea of like, it would be so cool to like write a sci-fi music piece album sort of about mushrooms and mycelium, and because as you said, it's alien, it's so sci-fi in a way, but it's also not, because it's like the building block of so many things on Earth, which is fantastic. And I think my interest, and it feels like there's been like a bigger interest worldwide of mushrooms, and it's kind of exploding everywhere. It feels like, it's coming books about it, and movies, and how little we understand and how much there is to know about them. So it's really fantastic, a fantastic subject to dive deep into.
Yeah. And speaking of fantastic, I highly recommend everyone check out this like a documentary and a book that kind of like came out together called Fantastic Fungi, which is really great. But then Merlin Sheldrake also has a documentary that's I think it's coming out now, sort of like this spring, with Bjork as the narrator, which is which is like, I think Bjork, if anyone could narrate a documentary about mushrooms, I think Bjork is like the perfect the perfect voice for that, because she's just as like strange and alien as mushrooms are, as much as a human can be, at least.
Didn't you get like a couple cassettes from Björk the other day, Victor?
Yeah, I did. I have recently kind of. I've never been a fan of Björk, but then recently I've started listening to her, and I was like, it's a fantastic music, and it's so like experimental and weird, and just I don't know. As you said, it's alien. It's very good.
I agree. All right, well, we're gonna play our final song for the listening party, which is "Spores in the Snow," and that will start now. All right, and that song was Spores in the Snow. Fantastic ambient track that I think really broadens the sort of reach and sound of this album. But I just wanted to close out and ask you to what you have planned for your new record label, Fruiting Bodies, which we mentioned in the opening. We'll be collaborating on future Fungalverse stuff, but do you already have ideas for your own separate releases and bringing in other musicians?
Yes and yes, I think. For now, we just want to focus on getting this album out and setting things up. We're planning to we're going through with throwing a release party here in Stockholm in March, and see the album sort of, enter the ether. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have some cassettes coming in now as well. And then after that, we've been talking about inviting friends who we know make music, and see if they're interested in joining the Fruiting Bodies roster.
And expanding the colony.
Expanding the colony, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as well, maybe that's what I'm mostly psyched about, is actually gearing this label towards cassettes, because that's a passion that I think both me and Felix have connected through again. I would say that we've started like buying cassettes again and listening to cassettes and like sharing it. So, I just talked about it. It's a fantastic little medium. It's like a miniature form, and like, just making the art and also the sound quality you get from a cassette is it's very warm and a lo-fi, and it's organic and alive, and it's something that could be quite easily attainable through DIY methods, so you can actually record on cassette yourself. So it's a perfect medium to have like a small independent label to release stuff on.
Yeah. And it's cool because like, you guys had this idea, but then cassettes are actually a part of Mushroom Blues. So it's a bit of this like meta experience where the main character is like, she takes her dad's sort of like cassette collection around with her and listens to it in the car as sort of as a way of like zoning out and pushing out the anxieties of the world. So I think it's really cool that we're going to be doing a limited edition cassette tapes for this as well. And I wanted to ask you guys if you could let folks know a little bit more about when the album is releasing, where they can buy it or stream it, where the cassettes are going to be available, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's mainly going to be on Bandcamp, the Fruiting Bodies label. So that's where you can buy the cassettes, and I think you're going to be able to pre-order them. I'm not exactly sure on when you will be able to pre-order it, but they will.
By the time this releases, they will be available for pre-order.
Yes, exactly. So 19th is the plan to have it released on both cassette and digital forms on Spotify. It will be available, and Apple Music and YouTube and all those digital platforms. That's the plan.
And we're totally ready to ship the cassettes worldwide. Don't worry about that. If you want a copy, we'll figure out a way for you to get it.
Yeah, well, it'll happen.
It'll happen somehow.
No stress, man.
Yeah,
no stress.
No, but I think it's actually possible. So you could count on that. Yeah, it's a limited edition though. We're doing 50 copies for starters. So
get on it quick. Don't miss out. Yeah.
If you're into it.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys doing this and taking the time to just kind of chat about your music making process, about the album, and giving everybody a taste of what they can expect. So yeah, just thank you for hanging out with me. It's good to see you guys as always. Is there anywhere where people can follow you online, or if you want to shout out like your social media or anything like that?
Personally, I don't have a huge presence on social media for now. So, but I mean, go through the fruiting bodies and follow us there, or follow me and us there. I think it's a nice way to see where at least where our music is progressing, because that's where we want to focus on putting stuff out from here on out.
Right on. Cool. Well, we will close it out there. Thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoy the album when it releases on March 19th. For now, take care and happy listening.